touch my staff, Billy Batson, and say my name, and let my power run through you. Sir, I don't know your name. We've only just met. Right. My name is Shazam! For real? Say it! Okay. So, how do you want me to say it? Just say Shazam? Whoa! I'm Zachary Levi! Yes, and dare I say, you do a marvellous performance. Well, now that I look like this and have all these powers, there's one thing I must do. I would like to purchase some of your finest beer, please. Teenagers. You give them superpowers and this is what they do with them. Gentlemen, Nick here, and welcome to my review of Shazam! The latest DC Universe film. I say latest as of April 2019, and the 7th overall, and yeah, this film's very obsessed with the number 7. 7 deadly sins, 7 wizards. I guess it's the time with 7th film. That's why it's a massive coincidence. As opposed to a homage. Though there's only 6 children in the film, though. So 6 heroes. Though with the villain, I suppose that is 8 main characters, including the wizard. So the story is of a young foster child called... foster home child called Billy Batson, who one day he's on his own, he's trying to find his mother, and he's brought to a foster home where he meets up with 5 other kids, including a superhero nut. And then the next day, when he goes to his new school, he sees 2 bullies who knock down the superhero nut kid, Freddy, I believe, and he's also disabled. So, when running away from the bullies after he basically knocks them out. Well, he defends Freddy, and then he gets the bullies chasing him, and whilst escaping them on Pennsylvania, I believe it is, or Pittsburgh, Philadelphia. That's it. Philadelphia's metro, their own underground. He is brought to the cave of the wizards, and he is given the power to become Shazam, a superhero. However, he doesn't really, him and Freddy, they test his powers, but then shortly afterwards, he starts basically just abusing the powers, basically being a bit of a dick, basically just using them for profit and just for fun. But then a powerful villain comes along and tries to take his powers, so Billy has to eventually eventually finds his mother, and then has to use his powers for good to fight the villain and save his new family from the evil villain and the 7 deadly sins. So basically that's the plot of Shazam, and you know what, it's full of emotional stuff alongside the comedic stuff we expected. For starters off, the first couple of scenes show us the villain when he was a child being brought to the wizard's place to possibly be one of his champions. However, he is tempted by the seven deadly sins and is so therefore sent back by the wizard. So we see some of his motivation, and then about 45 years later, give or take, might be 44, depending on whether this is set in 2018 or 2019. It is it's December, so maybe this film should have came out around December instead of Aquaman, and Aquaman should have come out about now. But I suppose you could say this is a Christmas film then. So the villain is now, I can't remember his name, Dr. Sylvek, I believe, or something. He's played by Mark Strong in his adult years, and he's trying to find the white ball thing, and when he does, he eventually gets the power and the seven deadly sins, and they go out and just cause havoc. Although he does take a bit of time between killing his father and brother at the company and finding Shazam. But he eventually finds Shazam, and battle ensures, including some Easter eggs to Batman, Superman, and other DC characters thrown in there. In fact, there's quite a few noticeable Batman, Superman, and other DC superhero references thrown in there, and that toy shop bit is where you get the most of it. But it's all fun and entertaining. And yeah, this film actually mixes the very dark and serious side of the plot with the comedic stuff. I wouldn't say it gels perfectly. I think there is a bit of where it does feel a bit unnatural in some places, a bit jarring. But mostly it works. I would say overall they work well. Just sometimes they don't fit together in the same part of the film. Like the first good half an hour or so is a bit more serious. I think Shazam comes. I was looking at my watch. Shazam first appears about 37 or so minutes in. So the film is pretty serious up to that point. It's very serious with the villain when he was a child, and then with Billy trying to find his mother and that whole plot, and really well. And it's also pretty interesting seeing him with his new foster family and how they interact, and the same can be said for later on. More on that later. And then when he becomes Shazam, that's where we get more of the humour, but it also drops some of those more serious plots for the time being and just focuses on the new superhero bits, which makes a lot of sense. And we can also see why they went down this angle with the story as well as other parts of the humorous side. But it doesn't mean it's completely it's not completely light and fluffy after Shazam pops up, because then Mark Strong's character then comes in and pretty much murders everybody in that boardroom nearly an hour in. I think about 50 or so minutes in, and it kind of becomes a bit of a horror film at some points. Yeah, Mark Strong's character just lets the monsters kill everybody in that room, and wow, that is pretty dark and pretty brutal. And the film is also providing a serious message about families, and that's something that's weaved in throughout the film, and it works really well. And it's also, we got the story, Billy's personal story kind of comes to a close when his new brothers and sisters find his mother, and he goes out to meet her and she explains what happens, and then he heads back to be with them. That's when they get kidnapped by the villain and he has to go and rescue them. And there's a big fight, and they also help out a bit in the final battle, especially the older sister, who he had a bit of a talk with at one point. And eventually he gets them all to join forces with him, and they all become superheroes like him. I will say this, the older sister Mary, I think before becoming a hero, she had the most to do besides Freddy, maybe Darla. But the other two boys didn't really get that huge amount to do, or at least before they found out about Billy being Shazam. And then when they all turn heroes, the older sister Mary then becomes a bit is put to the sidelines. He's just fighting a monster for a bit, and then another monster, and then back to the first monster. The other four get to do a bit more to do. They have a bit more to do, especially Darla, who's saving quite a lot of people. Plus, Mary's superhero costume is the only one with a skirt, whilst Darla's is trousers like the others, maybe female trousers, size, with a little bit of skirty lace on the left. I don't know, maybe they were just making the other Mary a bit more sexualised. Then again, you wouldn't want to sexualise a, 8 to 12-year-old girl, would you? You'd be okay with the late teenager, as opposed to the preteen. Okay, so maybe it makes sense. Then again, they are adults when they're in superhero form, so I don't know. But the heroes do get, besides possibly Mary, but the other heroes do get quite a lot of good stuff, good scenes, and great stuff. And I do like how the bullies who gave Freddy a suitcase wedgie, they get suitcase wedgies themselves when they're being rescued by Freddy in superhero form. So that's cool. I will say the climax does go on a bit too long. I do like all the superheroes, the hero stuff, but maybe some of the stuff with the kids is a little bit, there's quite a bit too much. I will say something that did make me start to tear up. It was the bit where Shazam gives a little girl a tiger, which is what he wanted when he was younger, at the balloon thing, and he just tells the girl to hold on tight to it. So that was something that I actually teared up. I watched this film twice, and it was on the set. I loved it, the emotion on the first time. And the second time, I felt the same, but I think I felt a bit more teared up at that particular bit on the second time. Only for it to then be followed by Shazam flying into a monster and him flying through it and then the monster grabbing him. So that emotional bit doesn't last too long, but I felt myself tearing up about just before then with the tiger stuff. That was really sweet. And oh boy, this film actually, as I've mentioned, is very emotional in places. And yeah, I do think the climax does go on a little bit too long, but I think it would be fine. Maybe you could have also had a bit more stuff with superhero Mary to do as well. Maybe cut some of the other bits from earlier on to give her a bit more time, but hey ho. I do really want to see more of these kids, and both in their normal children and in their superhero forms in a future film or future films. So hopefully with Shazam sequels, we should be able to see more of the 6 of them teaming up, both hanging out as a family, being a family, and then teaming up as heroes to save the day. Plus, I also want to see Shazam and Pop, and the other Shazam, Shazam's family, join the Justice League in a Justice League sequel. Warner Brothers, get onto it. It all works really well and has some great stuff. And eventually they defeat the villain and destroy the sins. And everyone's now happy, apart from the villain, who's gone a bit mad in prison, until a talking caterpillar gives him a hint at a way of giving him powers. Also, one of the most popular superheroes of all time makes a quick cameo at the very end of the film as well. That was amazing, and to have some of the original theme music from his first film, cinematic film anyway, main cinematic one anyway, is just really great. I won't spoil who it is, but it's one who we've seen before. One who's had a film before the DC universe. So, yes, Shazam. I thought it was amazing. I don't know what it was, but I think the emotion just worked really well. I thought it was really serious, had some very good scary moments, but it also had some great comedy and some great entertainment, and it was just fun in quite a few places. I do have a few nitpicks. First, whilst I do think there is, it does overall the emotional and darker moments and the comedy work well, and overall, I think in some places they don't quite gel. And secondly, I think the climax does go on a bit too long, but it's still fun and entertaining, and I do think some characters should have gotten a bit more time with some stuff, and some characters, like with the kids, I would say Eugene and I can't remember the other one, but he's the big guy, quiet one, who finds Billy's notebook. And then with the superheroes, it's older sister Mary, and I don't think they got quite as much to do in those moments. I think Dana gets quite a bit to do in both forms, as does Freddy, of course, and Billy, obviously. But I think as children, Eugene and the big silent kid, whose name I can't remember, And then when they're heroes, I think they do get a little bit to do, especially Big Silent Kid gets to be the strong one. I think Eugene's one could have had a little bit more to do, and Mary, well, she got a bit to do when she was older, as the kid. Normal form, I should say, she got the least to do as the hero, apart from standing there looking pretty and fighting some monsters. But she doesn't get that much, doesn't get as many monsters to fight, and doesn't get to save as many people. Although she does help, in child normal form, she does help distract the villain at one point. So anyway, but despite some nitpicks, it does have some good moments. And also the foster parents, whilst growing out searching for Billy after he tries to find his real mum, and then they just disappear for a bit, and then they have a scene where they come back when the kids are out, and then they just disappear until the very end, when everyone's together. But overall, it's fun. It's got some entertaining stuff. It's got some great stuff. So I'm going to give Shazam a 9 out of 10. Some of the characters had some more stuff to do, especially those two boys, in both those two their forms, and certainly in Yuji's case when he was a hero, and same for Mary in the latter point. If they got a bit more to do, and if some of the comedy had and the dramatic moments had lined up a little bit better, and it probably would have worked even better. But as it is, I think Shazam is a solid piece of filmmaking. Just a couple of little nitpicks, but on the whole, a masterpiece, or very nearly a masterpiece at least. I think after Wonder Woman, this would be my favourite DC universe film, and it was very much a toss-up between the first on the first viewing when I went to see them. I think Wonder Woman as a whole is better with the story, and I think it gels most of its dramatic and lighter moments with the serious stuff, and it does it really well. Whilst this one, it does it mostly well, but on the whole, I just loved it. And I didn't expect as much drama or very much seriousness from this one. It surprisingly is more serious than I would have thought. However, it's still pretty funny and very fun. So I certainly recommend it. And yeah, please go check it out. It's a great film. I sound like I'm promoting it. Well, if anyone wants me to promote the film, you just got to ask me to. So just come and ask. That's all. I'd be happy to do it for you. Just ask me and pay me or give me some sort of supplement, like free lunch. But anyway, so that's it from me. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. But before I go, I've got 2 shout-outs to do for this review. I saw the film twice at the cinema. Firstly, on Thursday the 11th of April, and then earlier today at time recording on Monday the 15th of April, both 2019. And first, I saw the film with a person both times. First time was with my friend Ollie Pajak, aka Mr. TARDIS 11 on YouTube. And you can check out his channels, they're really great. And afterwards we went back to have a look at what he had so far filmed for the upcoming 50 Slices of Bonding film he's making. And I am super excited for that. And the second time was with my sister, Neve Payne, or NP... hang on, let me just check the phone. Neve P93 on YouTube. So, go check those out. Ollie has 3 channels. Mr. TARDIS 11 for his main reviews and stuff. Ollie Pajak mainly for hangouts and live streams, and some reviews if the main channel is current, well, back in 2016 when there were some problems with it. So maybe some additional reviews on the second channel. And the third channel is License to Film, where he has his films and shorts on there, like the upcoming 50 Slices of Bonding will go on there, and the other 2 films in that trilogy are currently up. And yeah, so check out those channels, and don't forget to check out my other channels, and also the Universals. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. forget to click below to subscribe to the official Nicholas Payne YouTube channel. Hello ladies and gents. And also a cameo from a even more famous superhero makes an pops up at the end. Also an even more famous superhero. And then when it's the superheroes, it's the older sister Mary, older sister. And when I sound like a commercial. Well, if you want me to say it, I sound like I'm promoting the film. Well, companies can always promote shit. But before I go, Whee! Teenagers, you give them wizard-like powers. Hi, I would like to purchase some of your finest Right, this is an alternative take if the other one didn't work out.